Hey, welcome back to episode 173 of the Collector's Quest podcast. On this episode, we're talking about what you can do when you finish your set, whether it's a console set, a publisher set, a series set, how you can spend more money on the set, how you can make the set better, or things you could do without money to continue enjoying the hobby without spending more money. You know, just enjoy the things you have, maybe help out the community. So give us 5 stars on iTunes, check out the Patreon, like, comment, subscribe, tell your mom about the show, and let's go. Oh, and the intro music has been remastered, so it should sound a little better. Thank you again to Ape-Bit Music, apebit.bandcamp.com. Welcome back to another episode of Collector's Quest. I'm Tyler here with Johnny and Stefan. What's going on, guys?
Tyler, I was just trying to find your that thing you said on Facebook the other day about when people were equating shrink wrap to art, and you had a beautiful quote, and I wanted to bring it up on the show because it really hit me hard, and I told you that because I said that made me really erect.
Oh yeah, I wrote that for you, so yes.
I could tell, and now I can't find it, and I'm sad.
Are you serious? Did people really try to equate shrink wrap to art?
Well, they tried to equate the historical value of a shrink wrapped game to art, right? This was over the Mario 64 sale. Surprise, surprise.
Paraphrase, Johnny, someone basically said that it was a post complaining about people complaining about graded games. Because guess what? Until the end of time, people are going to complain about graded games. And they said that once you encapsulate a mint condition game, it basically becomes a piece of art. And I put
every art collector in the room bristled.
Right? And a main thing in the art community is that if you have a piece, you are literally the only person on Earth that has that. I don't care if it's the best condition Super Mario 64 on planet Earth, and you could say you're the only one who has that in that condition. You can still spend $100 and get a complete in box Mario 64. No one can get Stefan's Castlevania Nintendo Power art that the artist hates. No one can have that except for Stefan.
Well, but when you put it in a piece of plastic, then it elevates. It's very much like Catholicism, where where transcendence happen. And you eat the wafer, it becomes the body. Oh God, what's the my Catholicism is failing me. It's been so long. But anyways, the wafer becomes the body, and then that's So that's what happens with games when you put them in a Wata case.
And to be clear, my post was not shitting on if people want to spend $100,000 on a copy of anything, go ahead. Sure. I'm just saying it's not any more art than a complete in box copy.
No, it doesn't make it art. That's the joke. It doesn't become a new object. Get out of here.
Yeah. Also, I brought up the $144,000 Tomb Raider. This was 3 days ago because since that sale, every single day I wake up and I'm like, someone bought a copy of Tomb Raider for $144,000. That wasn't even mint, and I can't get it out of my head, Johnny. There's someone spent $1 million on a couple games, but this Tomb Raider is just blowing my mind over here.
Tomb Raider's the one that's got you stuck.
100%.
Well, that FF7 wasn't great either, right? Wasn't that that was also problematic, as I recall?
What was?
The Final Fantasy VII? Didn't that have issues too on the?
It had
it had issues, and it was not an early print. It's a later print.
Who cares?
Yeah,
I do.
I mean,
who cares?
who cares
video
in
game
terms of
collector that puts it into a Wata case?
The people buying games right now don't care about variants.
This isn't variants. These are prints.
I like how Tyler was just Tomb Raider has been keeping me up at night every night for a week, Johnny. And then he's like, who cares about Final Fantasy VII?
Who cares about Final Fantasy VII, Johnny?
Also, you're like, these are variants. No, these are different prints. Remember, we're in the world of, it's not variants now. They're different prints. And what you want is the first print, Tyler.
Tyler.
Yeah.
What?
You're lying to yourself.
You're
lying to yourself.
We don't know the
this stuff is art.
We could guess. We can guess the first print, and then when people start saying second print, third print, it's they're not the same print run. There were probably 10 print runs of the first print, and we just can't tell them apart because they're all the same. We don't know what days the factory was churning jewel cases off the line.
Yeah, because I guarantee you at some point they stopped and then did something else and started again.
There are probably identical variants from different factories that, like with a jeweler's
now
loop,
you care
maybe
about
you can tell them
factories?
apart.
Now you care about factories?
Oh my
Get
God.
out of here. I've been talking about factories forever. No one cares, Tyler. Now you want to bring them up as evidence? GTFO.
Man, Johnny, it's like you only can care about this super minutia stuff after you've maybe bought every single other PlayStation game. Man, I really tried. I couldn't think. I was trying to think of a way to segue this on the fly.
Oh, transubstantiation. It's transubstantiation. The process that turns the bread into the body.
Oh,
That's-
I was like, what the? I was like, is Johnny having a stroke?
Yes. Like, you know, when you remember, like your brain has been silently working on something and then just spits it out. That's what it is.
Yeah, there you go.
That sounds like a perfect segue. Let's transubstantiate this conversation into something else. Let's make it about the episode topic. How about that? Which is, guys, we're all there, right? We're almost, Stefan's there. You and I are almost there, Tyler. We're almost done collecting. So what happens when you're done? And that's what I want to talk about today. So there's a lot of things that happen. People think, oh, when you're done collecting, I get this question a lot. When you're done collecting, what are you going to do? You're never done. You're never, ever done is the truth.
Yeah.
But if you were, there are ways to improve your collection. Like if you were a very dedicated Super Nintendo collector, we're going to talk to you, or any system collector, we're going to talk to you about things you could do once you finished the set, your subset, whatever it is. Like what are the next steps? Like where do you go from here now that the all the check boxes, the initial check boxes are checked? What are all the sub check boxes you can start going through? Or, you know, you could just sit back, relax, and enjoy the thing you own and never think about that again.
Nope.
Which has never, ever happened 0 times.
That's 0 times. That's 0 times. Yeah. You will always figure out a way to not be done. That's the truth, right? When you get to that point, you'll always find a way to not be done.
Yeah, being done is a bullshit mirage, and you're like thirsting for water. You're the cartoon character. You're out there in the distance, and you see the oasis. That's what done is. It's bullshit. It does not exist. It's not there. You think you'll get there, and you're like, it's nothing but sand. I should buy more games.
Yeah, because even when because this happened to me a couple times when I felt like I hit the definition of done. It happened to me with the Ninja Turtles. It happened to me with several of my sets where it's just like you get to the top of the mountain and then there's no more appeal there, or it's not like the endorphin rush. Once the endorphin rush fades of like, yes, I'm done with this thing, then now and you have that now what scenario. Even if you say, okay, I'm just gonna like get rid of all this stuff and start over, or get rid of this stuff and not start over, that's still a way of not being done, right? Obviously, that's like the extreme way of not being done. Now you're at 0 again, right? So like, even if you do choose to sell everything off, that is still a way for you to not be done with your collecting.
Yeah. So yeah, we're just going to talk about that. It's not like strict form. I don't have like 5 things to do now that you're done collecting. That's not what this is.
We have no notes. It's chaos.
Yeah. We're just going to talk through our live thoughts on this, hand them down to you. And you may have other thoughts, and you can come back to us and tell us things you did when you were, air quotes, done to keep spending money on video games or whatever collection it was. So I have some examples. Tyler has some examples. Stefan has some. Tyler, do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first? How do you want to go?
Well, I want to start out by saying, Johnny, first of all, you said set collecting is dead. And this doesn't even have to be just console sets. It could just be whatever set you
it can
happen
be
to
subsets.
be collecting.
Yeah. It can be anything. Like, I collect only the Marios. Good luck on that.
Hey, I'm going for like a Shigeru Miyamoto set and Mario sets of some of this like super obscure stuff, Johnny. And it's just new stuff all the time. You want to talk to me about what's a cool computer? The Sharp MZ2200. Is there a copy of Mario Bros. Special on it, Johnny? I don't remember, but there might be. Fucking, you guys think you own whoever thinks they own every Mario game, they don't. Holy shit.
Wrong. Super wrong. You are so wrong.
Johnny, one set collecting dead. Did you see the Stadium events that went for 30 grand on eBay? Did we talk about that already?
We talked about it privately, but we did not talk about it on show.
Oh, well. So after 14 grand, which is like about like probably a little bit more than that is what a Stadium Events is worth right now, because the ones on Heritage were both in nice shape and went for like 20 and 30 grand. This was a 7.0 for whatever a grade matters on a Stadium Events cart. It went for 30 grand, which immediately I was like, holy fuck, set collecting is not dead, Johnny. But seller doesn't have feedback yet. And last someone reached out to the buyer, the seller, the buyer had not paid. Could there be some
shocker.
market manipulation in the market, Johnny?
Oh,
well. Or even
favorite
maybe not
topic.
even that insidious though, right? Like maybe it could also just be trolling. That's the problem with using eBay as a metric is that sometimes people just troll shit, especially when it's like, oh, in the wings of a really expensive the Mario 64, in the wake of record-setting sales, like yes, there's going to be people on the internet trolling, right? So I mean, it could be that as well. And if you looked at the bidding history on that auction too, it was like someone with very high feedback battling with someone with very low feedback.
Yeah.
So
and that could all be fake too. That could be 3 different accounts by the same person.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just so weird. I think the really low feedback one is the one who won it, which makes sense because if you were going to bid that up as like a joke or market manipulation, you would want your worthless account to win it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Didn't you say you were done? You were like saying like you're winding down. You basically have everything you'd ever want, right? You're done with collecting. You're not buying any more Game Boy junk. This is it.
Oh yeah, no, Tyler, I've said that 100 times. I told you, I'm never done. There is no end. I'm the best case example. I'm going to be able to give you examples of everything that you've ever done because I've done it 100 times.
Yeah, I mean,
I've been done since 2008.
That's right. The start of this episode, you're like, I'm almost done.
Yeah. Almost done, guys. Just got to finish these 3 more sets, which, that's weird because you were done, a couple years ago, weren't you? Yeah.
I don't remember what it was. I don't remember what the variant was, but like the 3 of us were talking the other day on Facebook chat, and like I think Tyler brought up it was either Wind Waker or Metroid Prime because both of those games have fucking crazy amounts of variants on the GameCube.
Yep.
But he brought up a variant of one of those, and just you could just hear the like crestfallenness in Johnny, like as he realized that he was like, oh fuck, there's another variant of one of these 2 games that I don't have.
It wasn't on the show. That was in our chat when Tyler showed a picture. Yeah, Tyler showed a picture of Metroid with like Metroid Prime with shitty block text instead of the Metroid font on the side.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck is this one? It's not.
So
like,
do we know what that is?
8 copies.
So I want to tell our listeners about this. Both me and Johnny want it, so we're probably screwing ourselves here. There's a weird ass...
Okay, but hold on. Before you go into it. So, to be on topic, things you can do when you think you're done, start finding lame ass variants you didn't know existed and start plugging away on that. Like this one. And I have many variants. I've already been down the variant rabbit hole, have like 4 or 5 Metroid Primes, and here's a new one. So Tyler,
that shit will like sneak up on you. You don't even have to go finding it, right? Other people will find it for you. Like in this case, right? Tyler found it for Johnny, really, not for Johnny, but
you'll think you're done.
You think you're done, and then immediately you'll feel like a fucking asshole because all this time you've been saying like, oh yeah, my set's done, and then someone is like, hey, but what about this? And then you're just like,
yeah.
Just to fill our listeners in on what we are talking about, there's a Metroid Prime variant. I don't know if there's any differences on the front or the back. It looks largely the same, if they're different at all, but the spine text is in just this plain black and white font, as opposed to a normal Metroid Prime, which actually has the Metroid Prime logo on the spine. It sucks because like a lot of eBay listings don't show you the spine, so hopefully there's a way to find this without looking for the spine, but cool one.
This is like you find at a convention when you can like look at the spines.
Yeah.
So I do have one theory because there was a Radio Shack box that came with like Metroid and like one of the Midway like compilation packs, like Midway 1 or whatever that was.
Sure.
And the Metroid and like a weird controller, but it also came with the Metroid box. So I'm wondering if it was like the weird pack in with Radio Shack. Like that everyone just assumed was the same, and then it actually isn't. Maybe somebody knows. Someone like Josh.
There was probably. I remember this was like a Nintendo Age thread, or maybe it was a Video Game Sage thread that I learned this in like a long time ago. So people definitely know about this. Yeah, okay, we'll start. Go hunt for variants, and I'm gonna say it's because if you have already bought every single game and you're not just like making lists of theoretical things you might want to buy one day, you are better equipped than anyone to spot what is new and interesting and what you might have. Because, you know, when like 5 years ago I'm buying Genesis games, I'm just thinking like, oh, I need a copy of PGA Tour Golf 2. Now, if I'm looking at Genesis games, I'm like, look at that copy of PGA Tour Golf 2. It doesn't look like the one I have. So if you have already bought every game, you will have held every game in your hand and you will know what to look for. At least you'll have like an initial recognition of things that someone who's just making a list might not.
I don't know that I agree with that.
Okay.
Because I think there's a after having like gone through putting together a set of something, especially a larger set, like I feel like there's a certain amount of numbness that comes to that, or comes with that, right? Like it's like mental fatigue of just like having gone and looked at
lose all
10,000 games. No, I know, but I'm just saying, as far as just like, oh yeah, like of the like, you know, 3 or 4 variants I already have, this is definitely the one I don't. Like I don't know that I would have had, you know, been
no, but I've been with no. So I'm gonna erase your conversation because I've been with you while we were out hunting for Xbox games, and we were at what's the place by Nickelodeon, Game Realms.
Yeah, Game
Realms. So we were there and we were picking up Xbox games, and I forget what game it was, but you looked at it, you're like, this isn't the one I have. This one looks slightly different, and you like ponder, and it's not going to happen with every game.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm not.
Well,
significant variants, fine, but like.
Yeah, well, I mean, with Genesis, there's a lot of significant variants. Like this one has a Pog in it. So I think what Tyler's point is, you're like, it's not going to be for every game, but you are going to be more capable to recognize when there is a difference than other people who haven't like held a bunch of games. Also, if you've already completed a set of something like Genesis games, that means you've gone through a lot of Genesis games. You know what you're looking for. Like, start to know case types. You know things about the set that you don't even realize that you know.
Yeah, I guess it's just because I'm also the guy that, and not everyone is like this, but I'm also the guy who like needs a list on hand so badly because he's bought 7 of the same game over and over again. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah, I mean, even me with all my crazy lists, like how many, like most of my doubles piles because I bought it twice on accident.
Yeah.
So,
that's what I was getting at. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. If you're looking for like hardcore variant, if you're like looking for variants, like you've got to be Dan Gomez looking at the backs of cases being like, this Activision part number that no one ever looks at is like buried in the fine text on the back. A 6 changes to a 7, and that's how you know the first print. Like, you're not going to just notice that just by looking at
the fourth
games.
word in the third paragraph on the back is in italics.
Exactly. Like the best way to find that stuff is to specifically go out looking for it on eBay. But I think you are well equipped at least to find variants. What you should do to take advantage of this, if you're like done with the GameCube set up a save search for Nintendo GameCube. Look at every single thing listed that's Nintendo GameCube. There's going to be a lot of garbage, but you will be the one who'll be like, whoa, that looks weird. What is that? And that's how, like, I know people with Xbox do that and they find some cool stuff. So.
Yep.
I have a hot tip that I was just thinking about because it's like foiled me a couple times, and I know that it's foiled you a couple times, Johnny. The very first thing you should do when you finish a set and you're like, you've hit the definition of done, double check.
Oh God, we should have started with this one.
That's literally the first thing you should do.
Holy shit, double check. I had finished the NES set. It had been done for years. My sister comes over and she's like, and Rad Racer was one of the most, especially when you have a card only set, one of the most common games on the planet. And but that as a kid was like our favorite game to play together. And so she comes over and she goes, so you got a copy of Rad Racer? And I was like, yeah, of course I do. And I go to the shelf. Guess what's not fucking there? I was like, I cannot believe I claimed to have the NES set for like 3 years at that point and didn't have Rad Racer.
Yeah. You're like, here's Rad Racer 2. Does that count? No.
How did you mess that up? So I when I finished
Ninja
the
Gaiden,
NES set.
look.
No, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I missed Ninja Gaiden Black somehow on my Xbox list. Like I accidentally removed it as a duplicate at some point, and Johnny noticed it. And then when I finished my NES set, besides Stadium Events, I was missing, I think, Namco Pac-Man, which it makes sense. There's another Pac-Man. Something got lost in the shuffle, and I didn't have that one. How did you miss Rad Racer? What did you mix up there?
Nothing. It just wasn't there.
Oh my god.
Well, like I mentioned this not too long ago. Game I was missing. I just completed my NES set in 2021, people. Just so you know, because I was missing, of all the games, Double Dribble. How do you,
That's a rough one.
I had the box and the manual. I just didn't have a cart. So, like, I picked up the box. I'm like, what is going on with Double Dribble here? And I had done that like 2 years ago with Solstice. I'm like, what? Like, I keep opening box and be like, why do I not have a game in this box? What happened?
So,
So it happens.
I have the same thing sometimes. So if I have a loose box and manual, or if it's my only copy, sometimes I take the card out so I could just easily take it off the shelf and play it. And I'll put a Super Mario Duck Hunt in the box just to fill it up. So when I take a box off the shelf and it's empty, I get like that feeling in my stomach, like, oh fuck, why is this box empty? And like, it usually means I have to go buy a game for some reason.
Yeah, with the Super Nintendo, I did that with Yoshi Safari. Like, it's like, okay. I mean, not super obscure games either. These are just like games. And the Yoshi Safari one is because what's the other one? There's another Yoshi game. I'm like, oh, I got Yoshi, so I must have checked both of them. So nope,
check.
didn't have Yoshi Safari.
Good tip.
Yeah.
Tip number 2 on
Make
our very well thought out list.
Make sure that you
Double
actually
check.
have the set.
Yeah. So don't let that be your first thing. Here's another thing you can do. So 1, double checking. 2, go find some cool variants. And 3, this is going to seem like pretty obvious, but sometimes, and this is along with double checking, check for completeness. So here's the thing you can do. You might have bought a game like it was just a phenomenal deal. It had the manual, the box, the cart, but maybe it had an insert you care about. Maybe you care about reg cards. Some people don't. But if you decided you did, you can start to search for making sure your games are complete all the way. You can start to add baggies to games. You can start to find all the appropriate advertising material. And the big one, double check for posters, because so many games, like more games than you think, came with posters. That's all I know is whatever you think, especially on Super Nintendo, whatever amount of posters you think came with games, it is more than what you were thinking. So you were probably missing a bunch of posters. So you can go and you can say your game is CIB as in, cart instructions box, but here's your chance to make it CIB as in complete.
And you got to check your posters too, because like there's identical posters with different part numbers or different copyright dates. Especially on like NES, there are like some inserts, like the Tidal Wave insert. It's like a -5 for Little Samson, but you could find same exact insert with a different number at the end, and it'll be mispaired with Little Samson's because people want to pretend it's complete. Really, it's the wrong one. Or like black box games, like the matte sticker ones came with a Rob poster with a 1985 copyright date. Like those aren't the hardest things in the world to find, but later Rob posters are obviously easier to find, so someone might have paired the wrong poster with your game. I hate posters. I hate inserts, Johnny.
Me too.
Like, I try to get everything 100% complete now because I hate dealing with this, but literally for the rest of my life, I will be buying random shit for my Genesis set. Because it is,
like that.
It's quote unquote complete in box, but I have games in that collection that I've owned for almost my entire life. That, guess what? I probably lost a registration card, probably lost a poster. So I'm just going to have to keep going back and finishing everything in that.
Yeah, so Tyler's like, yeah, he's done with his Genesis set, but he'll never, ever be done. This is what we're talking about. Things you can keep doing, like ways to, and these aren't bad things. The more you're like, oh, this is really tedious. If you think it's too tedious, don't do it. You don't have to do any of this. These are just things you can do, but they will also add value to your games because Tyler, how much more of a premium will you pay for something is 100% complete versus just something that's a cart, instruction, and box?
Anything,
you pay
Johnny.
a premium, right?
I mean, I'll pay a premium for that. I don't know that, like, the whole reason I'm in this situation is because I sometimes cheaped out. Like, usually I won't pay like more than double just to get like a registration card or something. I'm like, come on, that's a little ridiculous. I'll go find it later. But then that later is like, okay, I'm done with the set. Everything is twice as expensive as it used to be. Go find that registration card.
Yeah, you're like, this registration card only cost me $30 when I paid $25 for just the box and cart and instructions. Damn it.
Yep.
I messed
Also,
up.
like, I feel like you're spending a disproportionate amount of your time on things that aren't as fun to collect. Like,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
like I had one of the like the great reliefs of getting rid of my Genesis set when I did was that I think I was missing like 60 some odd manuals, and then just that like that realization that I didn't have to find 60 manuals anymore was nice. But yeah, because I mean I don't mind set hunting is fun, right? I don't mind going and looking for games, but like when it's just like, oh, now I have to find 35 registration cards, or now I have to look for posters with mismatched part numbers, that's no thanks. Like and that's gonna take you more time than it did to find the game, right? Obviously. So like that, spending more time on things that are not as fun to look for.
Yeah, I mean, and it might be like those are extreme cases, but there's probably times along the way, I know lots of you collectors missed a manual here and there, myself included, or you didn't care at the time. So you go pick up your manuals. Just
or got
do
the
what you
like
can
value manual instead of the regular manual, or vice versa.
Like, yeah, just go ahead and like you can just go ahead and just make your stuff extra complete, extra nice. Those are things you can do.
I know
Stefan,
for sure. I was gonna say I know for sure some of my CIB games have like Majesco manuals that shouldn't, or vice versa.
Oh my
like,
God, Stefan, that is the worst. Having the wrong thing is worse than not having the thing. Stop. You're causing chaos in your collection.
Stefan, do you have another tip? What is another thing you can do once you've completed the set?
This is sort of tangentially related to set collecting, but it's something that this is the path
we say set, but whatever you're collecting.
Whatever you're collecting.
Whatever your done box is.
One of the things that I did, and y'all probably saw that as I went through it on Instagram, was really focused on the presentation of my sets. So not necessarily going back and like upgrading the collection specifically, but upgrading the environment in which the collection is in. Be that like, actually renovating a game room, or, going and finding vintage displays, or, upgrading your shelving game, right? To make it present better. So that's
better
something
lighting.
Better lighting. Even like, I bought a dehumidifier. That's part of it too, right? Like just like, anything. There's a lot of things that you can do to upgrade the presentation and like the preservation aspects of your collections and your game rooms or your toy rooms or what have you. So that's something that I poured a lot of time and money into, and without buying a single game, right?
What?
So that's something that's definitely something that you can spend your time doing, and it will take up a lot of your time. So there's a hot tip for you right there.
Do you know what's an excellent way to increase your presentation skills in your game room? It's selling 7,000 games so you have space to display just all your best stuff.
That's true. Yeah. To me, Tyler is joking about something that I recently did. If people don't know, I sold 10 of my 12 sets, and that the game room really had, I mean, Johnny has been in there a lot when it was at its peak, right? And I think Johnny can attest to how claustrophobic that room felt, because I had shelving units like coming out from the wall, like vertically, right? Like, so
yeah, not on the wall. Like,
yeah,
imagine,
intruding into the middle of the room,
right angles,
right
angles into the room.
Yeah. Creating little like subdivisions and stuff within the room.
Nooks.
Yeah. And it really, really felt super, super claustrophobic. And that was, there were certainly other reasons why I decided to sell off, but being able to open up the space, really, really helped me, I think, like, want to be in here more. Like, in fact, I am currently podcasting from the game room, which is not something that I have typically done before. So So yeah, it really helps me enjoy the space more. So it really was a case of less is more in that respect. So that also sort of goes into another tip that I have, which is you could just sell everything and start over, or sell everything and reinvest into another portion of your collection, which is exactly what I did. If people have been paying attention, I sold off a majority of my retail games, and I reinvested it into the art portion and the historical artifact portion of this collection, right? So really sort of refocusing is a completely valid thing to do when you're quote unquote done, right?
Also, Stefan, let me just interject.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
You can also, it's fine. Some people like the hunt, right? They're doing it for the hunt. They're getting it. And that's all of the thrill for them is just doing it, right? So once they're done, there's nothing left for them. So especially if you're that type of collector, selling it off and then going and collecting something else, or even doing the same set over again in a different way, is a perfectly reasonable thing to do. People are like, how can you do that? It's how you enjoy the hobby is however you enjoy it. Some people like just the acquisition portion, and that's what they want to keep doing. Keep acquiring, get rid of, start over, do something else. That's fine. Like, don't let people tell you just because you bought it all means you have to own it forever. You don't need to, you're not an Egyptian pharaoh. You're not taking this to the grave with you.
Right.
So anyways, continue.
No, I think that's all. That summarized my point, I think.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
I also have some points on the display aspect. So, Stefan, you did a crazy thing where you really focus, but there are other ways to make your collection more presentable just by, being done. You can just literally, even on your same shelves, you can readjust how you have stuff. You can change how the display looks, especially if you're a person who, like a lot of people on our podcast, including us, if you're on Instagram and you like to take pictures of your stuff, changing the layout is a fun thing to do.
Sure.
You could also just, play your games and enjoy them when you're done. That's not a thing I do, but I've heard people do that. So that's another thing. You don't necessarily have to wholly redesign your game room, but you can move things around. You can change layouts, because a lot of times when you're collecting and you're in the middle of it, you're just putting stuff wherever you can. So when you're done, you should also take the time to put it all together, alphabetical, if you need to, but put it in some sort of logical order so you know where to find things in it. And along with that point, I would also say catalog is a thing you can do when you're done, because some people do it while they are hunting. Other people do it after the fact. I would suggest, if you haven't cataloged your stuff, when you're done collecting, that is a thing you can do also now that you are done. Start cataloging what you have, and down to what parts you have. You're going to want to know what manuals you're missing if you are. So that's a thing you can do.
And so on the cataloging front, you can do, again, this is a thing you are better equipped to do than people who are just trying to do this by looking at eBay pictures. Document every date code, document every PCB, disc codes, SLUS numbers, part numbers, UPC numbers. Because even if you put this into one of these grandiose collecting apps, CLZ Games, it'll give you developer, publisher, genre, release date, ESRB rating, but it doesn't drill down into the super nitty gritty collector stuff. And if you have every single game and you can document all that, maybe someone else has, but maybe you have some variants that other person hasn't documented. You could take scans of all your games, take a picture of all your game. Not everything is out there. There are these collector sites. If you, let's say, if you do a Google image search for Team Buddies, and we all tried to find a scan of Team Buddies, we would probably all find the same image, and it might not even be high resolution. So if you can take every single game in the PlayStation set and make a high resolution scan of it, and maybe GameRave has already done this, but whatever console you're collecting for, you are contributing to the information available to everyone to use on the internet. And I love that stuff.
So I think what your point is, you collecting information about the stuff you already own is a fine next step to further your collecting.
I could spend probably years without buying a game, just documenting and taking pictures of the games that I already own. Just because I would absolutely find tons of information that is not documented on the internet.
Okay.
So
go ahead.
No, just real quick, something that also occurred to me, it's just a really small thing that so a lot of people do it while they're collecting, but I also know of a lot of people who wait until they're done. But box protectors.
Yes, that's what I was going to say next.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you know, a lot of folks will wait until they're done collecting a set to put all their games in box protectors. I don't necessarily recommend that because it's actually I don't think if you haven't bought box protectors for like say an entire set before, it's deceptively expensive when you're buying, you know, like 800 box protectors at a time. So maybe, you know, depending on the set, maybe that's something that you should plan for. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's true. I certainly have like when I put all my SNES games into boxes, that was at the end of the set, and I definitely got calluses from all the like folding of boxes.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree with you, and I definitely agree that you can, but the more you can do as you're going, it is a hidden cost that hits you at the end when you're just like, I did the Super Nintendo set and I had a lot, but then like they didn't all fit on the shelves because as I was collecting them, I mapped out my shelves before box protectors were, quite the thing. And like a lot of my games were just like $5 games now, or like $50 games. That's the thing that happens. Like, I guess maybe that should be in a box protector now. My mind changed. So I had to move where they were and then like account for how to make that space there. And I was like, all right, before I didn't have enough room to put 300 of these games in box protectors. Now I do. That's like a big cost. Like, and looking like if you collect disc only games and like, let's say you're a person who puts them in those, like if you're going for a PlayStation set, I have a full set of PlayStation games. If I had to put those all in plastics, one, it's so many games, I would cry at the expense. It's like 1,200 games I would have. So, if they're roughly 50 cents each, just think about it, that's like $600. What a cool game you could buy for $600. Way cooler than plastic protectors. But long run, plastic protectors are probably going to be very useful and good for you. Try and get it done. And also,
the other thing about thing. And the other thing about PlayStation in particular is that the single jewel case box protectors, they're so slim that like folding them is shitty. Like, and they don't like the like flaps won't marry perfectly, and like they'll bow out or they'll pop out. So there's some finesse in actually just getting a box protector sometimes to stay closed. And to Johnny's point, folding that also will take you a lot of time, but like it also is just a pain in the ass.
Yeah, and then the thicker the box protector is, like the more work it. There's a lot of things, but the point is you should get box protectors.
Something you said, Johnny, it's just anecdotal, but it made me laugh that, you were like, oh, $600 expense to protect my entire collection. God, I could buy one game with that money. Like, I just think it's funny, like and I'm like this with other things too. Like, I am vehemently against paying money for new socks.
Yeah.
And it drives Kate crazy because I'll spend exorbitant amounts of money on other stupid shit, but like I hate buying new socks, and it's just reminded me of that, right? Like the like, oh, I have no problem spending $600 on a game, but God forbid I spend $600 on like protecting my investment.
Yeah. Well, and this gets into the shelving, right? And so this is something I started to argue on shelving. It's like on your shelves, you have thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of games potentially, and if you've got a bunch of water graded games, which let me just say is a thing you could do, you can pick out your favorite games and start to get them graded, especially if they're nice.
And that'll take you a long time.
Yeah, depending on their return times, that could take you a full year. But you've got like these, like you could have $100,000 sitting on one shelf. I don't, but you could, and you're just like, I put it on a $25 bookcase. Like, I don't know, like go, maybe spend 1% of what's on that shelf for better shelving. Like I've just, it's the not sexy part. Yeah. Tyler, definitely. Tyler.
I have tiny walls in my game room. I can't fit nice shelves in there.
Custom shelving. Do it.
Man, lumber's expensive.
It is super expensive.
I'm redoing everything, Jack. Like, I'm taking down carts and putting up boxes in a lot of spots just because I'm out of room. So I like having the little cheap adjustable shelves rather than just something I built myself that I can't move around.
That's a fair point. But the point of all of this is the box protectors and nicer shelves. I call this the eat your vegetables portion of collecting. You know, you don't want to do it and again, maybe finding that manual isn't sexy or fun, but these are things that will make your collection better overall. And the cost, while it seems it is definitely a cost, but like what you're spending on other things, like just maybe you need to like look at your budget and start factoring in like, okay, I mean, I know, and this is when like you're buying box protectors. If you think about, okay, this game it's costing me $35 to get it shipped to my house. I should also factor in another dollar because I want a box protector, because the difference between spending $35 and $36 on a game is like nothing. Whereas like suddenly spending $600 seems frightening. Not that you're going to go buy one box protector at a time, but if you budget that money ahead of time, you'll have a reserve set aside to go do an order of box protectors to come back to you. So back along that point. So let's talk about the WATA thing and the grading thing, because you could WATA or any of the other grading services except IGS, don't ever use them.
Not any. There's like Player One grading. There's video game graders. There's a lot of these like weird guys in a basement kind of grading companies.
Like I don't like VGA and like. But at least there are more, like it's a more reputable service. Like in what, use a reputable company, even if like not the ones I love, but use one you find reputable. Don't go to these really cheap generic ones. Also, that doesn't really increase the value.
At least VGA was doing this like when nobody gave a fuck, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to the new Fly By Nights who are literally grabbing your cash.
Doesn't give a fuck too. So
no, but you know what I mean. Like they were at least doing it. You know, before
they have experience.
It wasn't a cash grab. Yeah.
They have experience. Like whatever you want, they do have a lot of experience in the market. So like, I'm not trying to disparage them. I'm saying use one of those two probably are like your best options currently. Yeah. Anyways, the point is, you can now like look at your favorite games, and there's, I think, a couple of steps, and you guys can like chime in on this, but like you could say, oh, I want to get these graded, or you might want to do, find it sealed. Like even if you don't grade it, or you might want to find it sealed and then go get it graded, but you might just find your favorite games, look at them, and then do a condition upgrade. Like the box might be, maybe this box is like a 6, but I do love this game and I would like to get a nicer. So you can start conditioning upgrade. That's a lot of things collectors do. But then after that, when you get into the condition you really want, you could send it off for grading, or slabbing, whatever you want to call it. And you could add that as like things to do after you are done collecting. But really, grading and condition upgrading are the two things I really want people to take away as like major things you can invest your time into your collection once you are air quotes done.
I mean, right. You should wait for a bear market before doing that, because at the costs and the time that it takes to grade something right now, it basically only makes sense if you're looking to flip a game. Like I have a sealed Ninja Gaiden on my shelf, Johnny. Heritage, if I sent it to WATA right now, it would be gone for a year, and they would charge me a premium to grade it based on like the recent Heritage auction sales, which are out of control. So I'm sitting back. I'm not just spending however much what was cost, like $300 to grade this. I spent $300 on it, period. I'm putting that money towards more games instead, because while the market's going crazy, and I think I can find interesting things the market is not crazy about, I would rather put hundreds of dollars towards more games than a plastic box around a game I already have.
Okay. But that's criticism of the grading community and where it is right now, rather than a process you can take part in.
Yeah, I'm just saying, so they have either their cheapest or their two cheapest tiers are shut off right now at WATA, and like there's new companies coming out, there's CGC coming in, so if you wait and see, things might be cheaper or faster or better. So it's not something I would take a look at right now for your personal collection.
But condition upgrading, you could say the same thing. The market's crazy, but if you find a deal, especially if you're flipping something in return, you'll probably be fine on that front.
And go find your favorite games sealed. Johnny, my favorite games are Ocarina of Time and Super Mario 64. Very affordable.
Are you rich? Are you rich?
No, I'm saying everyone should just go out and just look for a copy of those. Probably, twice what a complete box goes for. And my third favorite game, like Doom. Just go get a sealed mail order Doom, which exist.
What about where does Ninja Gaiden then fall on your list?
Ninja Gaiden 1, I don't think is even in my top 10, Johnny. Ninja Gaiden 3, on the other hand. Ooh.
just in general, what does a Ninja Gaiden is it in your top 10? Don't be an ass. You know what we're talking about.
Ninja Gaiden 3 would be. That'll be like right below Super Mario Brothers 3.
Why do you keep illustrating that it's Ninja Gaiden 3? We get that it's Ninja Gaiden 3.
No,
Which one is it and where is it? What is his rank?
I don't know. Below Mario 3, like 6, 7, 8, somewhere around there. What, got to
your
rank
top
every
10
game
all
you've ever
time.
played?
No, I'm just asking because you talk about it a lot. You're like, oh, it's one of my favorites. But then you're like, yeah, I don't know.
It's
you just listed a bunch of games
It's
that
not
weren't that.
Mario or Zelda, okay? Even as much as I can love a game, you know, it could still not be better than my favorite Mario and Zelda games.
All right. I
Ugh.
just wanted to be clear. And I like to harass you. So.
That's something that, you know what, it's interesting that you brought that up, because that's something that I do actually have noticed about myself recently, is that like some of the games that I enjoy playing the most, when someone asks me what my like favorite games are, they don't hit that list. I don't know what that is. I don't know why that is. But like, for instance, Star Fox. I play Star Fox all the time. Part of it is just because like I can beat it in like whatever 19 minutes or whatever. But it's like my filler game when I have like a few minutes to do something. Oftentimes it'll be Star Fox. I would never say Star Fox is my favorite game if you asked me. But it's probably the game that I play the most.
I mean, that's just because Star Fox is bad.
Star Fox.
Well, I mean, we could talk about the nature of favorites. Like, what does a game have to do to be a favorite? It probably has to hit nostalgia. There has to be good memories associated with it. Like in Star Fox, might
topic.
yeah. It's
I mean,
like
not now, but
yeah. I mean, there's like we could talk about why favorites are made as like a 30-minute talk.
Sure.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
So, anyways, guys, do you have any other tips that you can do? You're done collecting. What else can you do to spend money on that collection?
Now, John,
How about curation? Like I know I mentioned like dumping everything into the market, right? Which is certainly a valid strategy, but like sort of a more nuanced approach to that would just be like, okay, like now that I have everything that I want, like is there things that maybe I could prune back? And you know, this is sort of like maybe it's a meeting of like working on presentation and selling things off and, you know, condition upgrades. And maybe this is like a vertice of just like kind of a generally like curating your collection. And maybe like now that you've gotten to this apex, maybe that's not really what you want anymore. And you can sort of like really prune it down to be, you know, something very, very focused.
Yeah, what you're talking about is going from being a set collector to a good stuff collector. The better approach.
I believe the word back in the day was a dank collector, Johnny.
Okay, cool. Great. Thanks, Tyler, for that insight. Tyler, do you have any other response to that? What else you got? But yeah,
I don't have a response to curating
because
because selling games is for crazy people when you could just acquire more games.
Okay.
But we're talking to a guy who sold off thousands of games at once because something snapped in his brain. But I'm going to say something you could do without spending more money on collecting, and you should do, and you must do. Write a guide. Oh my God! Everybody who has a full set of something, or if you think you have a full set, write a guide of either collecting that set that you're talking about, or just what you have, documenting it. Everybody who has a set, like you get to this point on the Dunning-Kruger curve where you have everything and then you realize like, oh my God, I don't have anything. Everything is out there. This set is garbage because there's so many variants and just all this weird stuff on the edges that I don't have. I don't care. Put a guide out there. Like, just because we live in this world where like you have these apps and they have like these weird ass lists with like homebrew mixed in and unlicensed games and licensed games all mingled together. It's just a mess. And the things I remember are when Nintendo Twizer put out a Nintendo Age list of like all the Wii games. And there were problems with that. It was like missing a couple games, like some box sets or something. But I remember that list because it's like, oh, here's a guy who bought every Wii game and he could tell me what every Wii game is. And I don't even know where I would go to get like a PS3 set list, like a really solid collector list. I got one from Figsy, who I think Johnny pointed me out. And he just sent me a list. And it's like, why isn't this published somewhere? Besides just helping people, it will also improve your collection. So I spent hours compiling my Xbox information. So this is information I already had. I already had lists of it. And I still spent hours just formatting it to post on Video Game Sage. It's more than 5 pages long, probably. It's like hundreds of games and demos and variants And like, I know the variants are garbage because they're always going to find more variants. It's huge. I posted this list 13 minutes later. 13 minutes. Like, they could not possibly have read this entire post that I made about collecting Xbox. Someone told me I was wrong about Yu-Gi-Oh card variants. I said that they were generic. They said, no, they have specific promo card numbers. Like, 13 minutes you're gonna, like, correct something in my list? It's fucking crazy. Also, people love correcting things. So if you post something and it's wrong, someone will let you know, which isn't a bad thing. Super grateful for that. Johnny will tell me I was missing Ninja Gaiden Black on my Xbox list. But there's so many good reasons to post lists if you're an expert, at least like a marginal expert on something, and think you have a good list. So I think everyone
Can I just say something about that, though?
What?
Some people want to collect their things, Tyler, without being researchers, and that's okay too. Like that, because that's a like research is honestly a completely different hobby.
Yeah, but these are just options you can do. This is not you have to do. I mean, except for Tyler saying you must.
Tyler just said that you have to do.
You have to do it.
So I just wanted to preface that it's okay to be a collector and not want to be a data scientist.
I think there comes a point.
Get to work, you lazy bastards.
If you get to the end of a Nintendo DS set and you're just using some list you Googled, like you spent probably tens of thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours collecting this set. There is no way that you don't double check for like the weird edge cases. Like, you definitely know one or two games are like, oh, they're missing on this list, or it's like some people kind of consider it a variant, but this is really a real release. Like, there's definitely weird stuff that you would put on a list that's not on like the public Game Eye list or something you would find wrong. That's why I like collector lists. But all right, you don't have to do it, Stefan. Don't put out a 3DO's list. That's fine.
I'm gonna shoot us the other way, where you can spend a lot of money. So let's start buying the stuff that doesn't count. You know, things that are like in a collection but don't count. A lot of this is for set collecting, but you could go buy box sets. You could. So there's like a lot of box sets that you're like, maybe you don't count them, but now you can go pick it up. You're done. Go grab a box set that already has 2 games you own in it. You could also buy big box versions of things. Like if I'm looking at my Super Nintendo set, I'm just going to use the Super Nintendo set through this whole example. So like you could have Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, or you could go buy the big box Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego. Now you get it with the Almanac is in that one, or the Encyclopedia? I can't remember. Then you could buy things like the X-Band. So like if this was your set, you're like, oh, I'll like this isn't really a game, but it's a thing. You could go buy guides for the games in that set. You can go buy things like the player's choice versions of it, because
joke.
You could, and people do. I have all
modern collectors
Super
love
Nintendo
it because they're all rarer than the original releases.
Absolutely. Well, they're all rarer in all of them. Like, are you telling me the Zelda that they printed millions and millions of Link to the Past that they didn't print less of?
Sure.
Of the like, come on.
After selling $1 million, because that's generally the threshold for those games, right? Is $1 million. After they sell $1 million of the original run, they're not going to then print $1 million more. Like, that's just not that. No.
Yeah. So there are other examples, like you could buy, if there's competition carts or like weird Max things. The point is, there are stuff that are like maybe not considered part of the set. Maybe it's not part of the retail set, but they are just these outliers. So we'll call it the outliers, things that are like associated with, you could go start picking up accessories if that's your jam. You could start picking up, system variants for that set if you are collecting sets. If you're doing like subsets, then this doesn't apply. But the point is, look for the things that are outside of what the set is known to be, and then start, adding those things. For me, I call them collection plus items. That's where all your competition carts live. That's where all your big box variants live. These are like, I finished, all that kind of stuff. You're like, my collection is done, but now I'm going to add these, I like little jewels into your crown. You're like, oh yeah, now I've got this thing too. So if someone was looking at your set versus someone else's, you got things that make your set pop, as opposed to if they just went and saw a guy who just completed his set. So look for the collection plus items.
Similarly, and I'm a little bit surprised that maybe it's not quite the same thing, but I'm a little bit surprised you didn't mention it in that section there, Johnny, is international releases.
Yeah, I was going to make it its own thing. Like, yeah, you
Okay.
could also add.
Well, then go on.
Yeah, no, go. You just started it. Please continue. You know what's up.
Yeah. So that's something that I did. It wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna now just do like the international set, but like there's a couple ways that you could approach that. You could, for instance, I like the form factor of Japanese Super Famicom boxes. I think they're super cool looking, and generally the art is better. And so like
Best
I
art of
decided
any
that
console, Stefan.
Hold on. I also want to just throw in, if you're a VHS collector, they're basically the same form factor. You can put your VHSs and your Super Famicom games next to each other. Same shelving.
Right. That's right.
Johnny, do you really have to ask if you're a VHS collector? Who isn't a VHS collector?
Who is
That's
the
true,
VHS
true.
collector? I mean, Laserdisc is where it's at, but whatever. So yeah, I decided that I was going to go out and like hunt my favorite games, right, in Super Famicom, and so so now that's something that I'm still working on, even though I don't quote unquote collect games anymore. That's the kind of stuff and I'll usually reserve that for like, oh, when we're at a show or when I'm out hunting with Johnny or something like that, as a thing that I only look for when I'm out, just to make things interesting, or so that I'm not going to a convention just to say hi to people.
I mean, it's fun to buy things, so it's fine.
For sure. Yeah. Retail therapy, right? So that's something you could do. The other thing that you could do is like figure out, okay, like what games are part of this international set that aren't in the American set, and then you could, or whatever primary territory you were collecting. I guess I'm just assuming all the listeners are American collectors, and that's not true.
They're not.
That is incorrect. So I apologize for that. But like whatever your primary set is, and then if you want to like figure out, okay, well, like these Mahjong games came out in Japan, or and not in the American set, and I'm going to go buy all the Mahjong games or all the horse racing games. God damn it, there's a lot of horse racing games in Japan. But you could do something like that. So yeah, there's a lot of ways to sort of feather in international collecting.
Yeah, you can extend the borders of your collection.
Yeah.
You know what? While
go explore foreign titles.
While you're talking about international stuff, and I'm talking about making lists, while you're collecting all the international stuff, make a really good list of gameplay changes between the international set and the regular set. Because, like, a lot of this stuff is on the cutting room floor. Like, for individual games, if you, like, look up what the difference is between Probotector and Contra. But a lot of, like, a collection list might just, like, make a minor note, like, okay, Probotector and Contra are technically the same game, or it's a name change difference. But if you have a list of every single game that's actually different, that's kind of cool.
And Johnny, if they are going to start buying Japanese titles, who should they go to?
They should probably go to friend and overlord of the show, Red the Game Shark. For all of your imports, if you want them cheap, you can hit them up at Cheap Games. That's Red the Game Shark, where you can get your imports cheap.
Does it do? I think it's supposed to be a 1-minute ad segment, actually, Johnny. Could you keep going?
Yeah. Could you just repeat it?
Red the Game Shark. Red the Game Shark. Red the Game Shark. There we go.
Red the Game Shark.
Yeah. So, yes, but no, for real, if you are looking for imports, you should definitely hit up Red the Game Shark. He can help you out. Yeah. What else can we do? We've talked about expanding our borders, buying Collection Plus items now, variants, cleaning up your list, documenting, condition upgrades, grading stuff. What else can we do? Do you guys have any other examples of things we can do once we are done collecting with our collections?
Sure, I got one, and this is going to be one that's going to be, and I kind of mentioned it when I was talking about upgrading the presentation of your display, but that was really more I was talking about like shelving and lighting and that kind of stuff. But, there are going to be, in most cases, vintage retail display items and store only, not to be collected items that you can buy and associate either just generally, like, oh, I like that type of thing. I like signs and I like standees and I like whatever. Or there are going to be items often, especially if you like really popular games, that are specifically associated with favorite games of yours or specific sets, right? So like when I was done with my Super Nintendo set, one of the things that I focused on was, point of sale retail displays for the Super Nintendo, and I bought a bunch of nylon banners, and I bought the Super Nintendo kiosk, and I bought all these retail things, again in the spirit of kind of plussing up the display. But yeah, you can. So I guess my point is that you can buy things, and not just retail stuff, but like, or not just retail display stuff, but just like things that are associated with your favorite games or with the set that you love. If you want to go out and get all the Mario plushes, because goddamn, there's a lot of Mario plushes. You can do that. So there's lots of ways that you can spend your money on things that are tangentially related to your sets that will better the presentation and the value and just sort of feel of your set.
Yeah. Tyler, you got any other examples?
You kind of touched on it. Along the lines of not spending money, because obviously you can just go spend more money on stuff related to your set. But play every game, Johnny. You said you don't want to play your games. You have every game. You could stop buying, take like 2 years, and play every game.
Totally could.
Because to me,
and you could document that adventure if you're Tyler. Write down every game. If it was good or bad, start doing reviews. Right, Tyler?
there's Reed Rothschild on Video Game Sage has played and reviewed every Super Nintendo game. And you know what? He not only played and reviewed, ranked them like 1 to 700, whatever.
That's kind of amazing. I would like to see that ranking. I've never seen that.
How do you even do it? Like when you're in like the 400s, like how do you?
I don't know.
How do you differentiate between
I don't know, man.
451 and 452?
But I really feel like that's a 422. I think it's like, how did you put it above these 10 other games? These are clearly better.
But there's obviously people who have done these gameplay projects, but no one is better to give an opinion on a game than someone who has played and understands the game design of every other game in the console library.
And especially if you have it, whatever your set is, and again, it doesn't have to be complete sets, but if you're playing your games, that's a fine thing. But if you have a complete set, a lot of people are playing through on emulators. If you can go through and play on actual hardware, you may encounter things that people on emulators don't. So maybe you would know even better.
Also, that makes you better than everyone else.
It absolutely does make you better than everyone else. And then you always have to lord over everyone's head like, oh yeah, I've played all my games. What are you doing?
Yeah. And then talk to them about your PVM. Like that's the next thing. Tell them about your SCART cable and your PVM, and like just watch most collectors' eyes roll into their back of their heads. And it's like, I don't care. And then if you start talking about getting the correct interlacing on your like if you start talking about how you fine-tune, like you tuned your PVM, oh yeah, people, they literally die in front of you.
Well, the geometry is a little off when you just buy one
off
the street,
Tyler.
So you gotta run the 240p test suite.
That's if you ever can work in something about the sine and wave, you've really done it. Anyways.
Or the benefits of curved glass versus flat glass.
Yeah. Well, the architecture back then, you have to look at the pixels. The pixels were crafted in such a way the artist knew how it was going to be displayed on a cathode ray tube, a curved TV. It was not meant for these modern, even flat CRTs. It just doesn't do it. The pixels, the artist knew what they were doing. These people were artists. They were professionals, especially by the end of the life cycle of 8-bit and 16-bit. They really knew how to manipulate the art to get the best picture. So when you put it on a flat monitor, you're not getting the same results. You are not getting what the artist intended.
Yeah, and Johnny, you know that they designed these games for composite video, so that's how I play them. Even though if you look at like development pictures from the 90s, it's all guys with like PVMs and computer monitors who are doing the art.
Yeah, yeah.
We joke it's a jovial topic, but that is also something, now that I'm thinking about it, that you can do once you complete your sets, is focus on the hardware around your sets and how you play those games. So I'm not gonna like launch into this conversation, but I would direct you to retrorgb.com, which is probably the best resource in my opinion for kind of slogging through all of the various facets of really like fine tuning that razor sharp pixel. And this is definitely something that you can spend as much money as you want.
Oh, sure.
Go
watch My Life in Gaming. They do like
My Life in Gaming also is an excellent resource. They actually have a what is it called the RGB series. I think it's like RGB 101. That they really dial into, like, if you really want to get into quote unquote the best way that you can play these games, read as most expensive. Then that's definitely a series. And actually, My Life in Gaming like really like does like a lot of side by side comparisons and really kind of gets into the science. Retro RGB does too. So yeah, if you really want to get into the science aspect of things like CRT televisions, those are a couple good resources for you.
Okay, so guys, I'm going to end it with this. The last thing you can do, if you were, done,
cut off your
you can just start. Cut off. You can start collecting something new.
What?
You can just expand. Yeah, we've expanded all the ways you can complete your complete set. Like you're like, man, I really love NES, but now maybe it's time to go look at Super Nintendo. You can just go start. You can leave all of that alone. Like, let's say after you get through all that stuff, you can also just move on to the next thing or do nothing. You can actually do nothing and it's fine, but you could also just start collecting something else. So I think that covers it unless you guys have any more. I'm sure there's other things, but we want to just like have a little talk because, like I said, I got bombarded with like, oh, what are you going to do when you're done? How are you done? Like what do you do when you're done? That's just not real.
We actually talked a lot about like good solid content for longer than I expected this to go. So yeah.
If someone who is done and they don't know what to do, can you like message me and tell me how do I achieve your mindset? Like if you have a course or something, like I'm in. I'll spend $776 on that course.
Yeah, send me a link to your TED Talk, please.
How to be happy with what
I'm
you
gonna
have
start a series,
when you
The
have
Art of
everything.
Being Done. Yeah, I'm gonna just start a series, The Art of Being Done.
Oh. It sounds like a good self-help series, to be honest, Johnny.
Yeah.
Because everyone listening to this show, we do have some kind of mental illness.
This is factual. When I tell people to seek help, I do it as a joking way, but also like seek help. I know. Look, from one to another, we can smell our own. Just saying.
Yeah.
All right,
game
guys.
Recognizes game.
Yep. Shall we move into our questions?
Collectors questions from the Discord, patreon.com/collectorsquest, guys.
Which is also something that you can do after you're done collecting, is join our Patreon.
You sure can. First question from Retro Game Enthusiast. Question for the Questos. That's the technical term for the guys in the podcast. Is eBay on the way out for game collectors? We all know the days of $1 NES games with free shipping are long gone, but outside of rare or hot items, I don't see any good reason for me to buy/sell these anymore.
Well, selling and buy, that's two separate things, right? Is it dead for selling? Is it dead for buying? I think I have the same answer for both. But Tyler, I'll let you tackle this one first.
Where the fuck else are you going to go? So
I don't know.
Is like obviously eBay is like the standard online marketplace. So where else are you going to go? Yes, you can go to Facebook Marketplace or Mercari. Whoever the hell looks on Mercari. The only thing I see on Mercari is like, found this idiot on Mercari who listed something way too low.
And that's the reason why you don't want to go there?
Well, I mean, it's more of a gamble on Mercari, but one thing that is maybe killing like these super low end sales, it's not really eBay, it's the cost of shipping a single game. Because 15 years ago you could spend $1.50 to ship a DVD or an NES card, and now it's like $4. So like,
not only that, but like there's tax involved now too.
Yeah, and you gotta get a bubble mailer, you gotta print a label. Like, who wants to ship a copy of Othello on NES alone? But is eBay dead? No, it's like the only place I buy video games. So one interesting thing I will say, eBay sucks, man. There could be fake buyers, there could be fake sellers.
Yeah, but eBay's got your back. Like, well, okay, so like, especially if you're a buyer, right? Like that's
I mean, if you're a seller, you're screwed, but if you're a buyer, you're well protected.
Yeah.
So I mean, that pendulum only swings one way,
right?
Unfortunately,
I will say there's I've seen these like alternative marketplaces come up for sports cards, and like you would think of it like almost like a Heritage Auctions. You see like the high end video games show up there. Maybe in 10 years,
Chase the Chuck Wagon, maybe.
No, like not like bullshit ones. They're just like save 5% on your eBay fees. More like we are a trustworthy site where games will be sold and there won't be like shenanigans like you might have on
like
eBay.
Heritage
Like we have
Auctions.
legit sellers, basically.
Heritage Auctions.
Yeah, exactly. Like Heritage Auctions, but like more
everyone
for like
is really confident in them.
God damn it,
I'm
Johnny.
not saying I'm not confident. I'm just saying that people have reacted very poorly lately.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Go on.
I could
I know
see
your point. I'm
sort
sure
of Chase the Chuck Wagon game gavel, but more for like high-end cards, not high-end cards, high-end video games pop up sometime in the future that maybe people will use in addition to eBay. But I don't think eBay's ever going anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, eBay will always be useful because, like as Tyler said, it's the like number one user facing marketplace, and so like if you want to, if you are willing to exchange your sweat equity for your monetary value, then like that's the place to be, right? Like so if you don't want to be out there hunting, it's the place to go and just start pulling triggers. So the cost aside, I think that's always going to be a benefit of eBay, is that it's the place to go to find things easily.
If you want to buy a video game from someone who doesn't know what they have and they're willing to ship it, that's the place to go, because you're not going to get someone willing to ship something on Facebook Marketplace.
I mean, yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it's going away for buyers or sellers, really. I think sellers have new avenues of places they can go. But I think those are people who are in the business of selling games. But your average person who's just like, oh, I got a couple extra games, I'm going to go sell them. eBay's still going to be their first stop. So
yeah, Heritage doesn't take everything. I don't know if everyone doesn't know that or not, but like you can't just like put whatever the fuck you want on Heritage, because they have a threshold for value.
I think their new minimum is $10,000.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's all those Sega games.
No, I mean like $10,000 of the lot that you give to them, so it's worth their time.
I'm just saying it was a joke. It was a joke.
That's also their appraisal value too. Like like Valerie is fine. I like Valerie, but like their appraisals, especially for things around things that are not video games, that are just a video game related, like a gameplay counselor jacket, for instance. That their evaluations on stuff like that is not necessarily favorable to the seller. So some things that like rightly should have a higher value don't show up on Heritage, because Heritage is the one evaluating them, and they don't have the confidence in those items.
I feel like there's a space in the market for retail. I mean, maybe there's no space for retail stores, whatever, because we're in the future. Everything's on the internet. But when I go into a retail store, besides looking for that super rare thing that I just can't find online, like what are the chances they're going to have that at a random store? The number two thing I'm looking for is stuff that's not worth the cost of shipping. And most of the time I walk into a retail store, it's like a smattering of middle of the road items, and I don't want any of it. But if they have $1 to $2 Xbox games that just absolutely are not worth picking up on their own, I will buy every single one that I didn't have. I mean, not anymore. I mean, right now I'm so much more focused, but I wish there were more retail stores that actually mattered, because you could kind of do that with comic stores. There's a comic store in your county, I will say, maybe not in your city. There's a comic store. You can go there. You can look through a dollar bin, and you could find 100 books that are not worth shipping anyone, even like media mail. And that will be a cool thing to have in the future. If like everyone's like, oh, video games are going to be the next big thing. Video games are awesome. Then where are the video game stores? Because not only do they not exist, but they also have shitty inventory. Yeah. All right, there's Tyler complaining about video game stores for a minute. Next question.
Go on.
All right, Zeno asks, we're at, this is from a little more than a week ago. Everyone, your homework right now is to bring up the Discord and put more questions into the Ask the Podcast channel. Thank you. Zeno says, I'm feeling pretty disillusioned with our hobby right now. What fun, less manipulated collectibles might one delve into at a time like this? VHS and Blu-ray come to mind? Any other thoughts? VHS isn't manipulated. Zeno, are you on rocks?
He is on bath salts, because that's straight up crazy. Zeno, step off of the ledge. You sound like an insane person. Have you seen the sales for VHS tapes? You know what? Zeno, here's my time to tell you, yes, you should be collecting VHS tapes. I think it's a fine market to go into. And I have a show that you should listen to. It's a really good podcast. It's called the Video Game Investing Podcast. It welcomes all its guests as VIPs. You're going to love it. They're going to tell you everything you need to know about collecting VHS.
What are you talking about, Johnny?
There's a good podcast. Look, he's saying maybe he doesn't believe it's manipulated. I definitely think it is. But if you're into VHS collecting, I just want to turn him on to the right podcast.
The video game investing podcast. Oh, the video game collectors. Which one are you?
No,
talking?
the video game investing podcast.
Okay, John Hopper's show.
Got it.
Are you talking about a real?
I'm sorry. I said video game. I meant to say the VHS investing podcast.
Is that a real show? I'll 100% listen to that.
Yes, it is. It's a real show.
Okay.
The VHS investing podcast.
Oh.
Sorry, I was saying video games are always on my mind. It's hard for me to even say VHS because it makes me vomit a little.
I think what happens here is that someone sees a market that is like manipulated and very, very expensive right now, which is video games, right? And then just like looks at a different market that maybe isn't just as expensive, and then goes, oh, that must not be manipulated because there's no $1.5 million VHS tape. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but I've been talking about the video game market being manipulated since 2006, 2007 that I know of, that like I have proof that it happened. So it's like, that's what I'm saying. Like the manipulation, like there's always going to be some manipulations. I mean, look for a safe hobby, ancillary hobbies. There's lots of things you could go into. Like hot toys is like a market that's pretty hard to manipulate if you're into toys at all, because those are always pretty much found at retail or not too much around retail. And there's not like so many of them made, so you could get into something like that. You could, but really you should just collect something you like or that interests you. Like, and markets be damned, right? Like try not to think of it like, I wish we could like walk back thinking of everything as a market and assets, and just like things we like to buy.
collect something that nobody gives a fuck about, like I don't know, tops or
tops are expensive.
puzzle boxes.
Puzzle boxes are so expensive.
What about Pogs? Maybe Pog. This was a perfect opportunity for you to talk about Pogs.
That's true. You can collect things that like were popular at one point, but definitely are not anymore. So you could collect Pogs. There's no manipulation happening in Pogs.
My wife collected Goosebumps books. She got like all of the Goosebumps books. Wasn't very much money. Like,
yeah,
it was fine.
I'm collecting Choose Your Own Adventure books right now.
Did you know that R.L. Stine wrote a bunch of Choose Your Own Adventure ones? There's Choose Your Own Adventure books for James Bond and Indiana Jones written by R.L. Stine.
That's awesome. What about the Transformers had a series too that I really liked?
Yeah, the 80s were rich with Choose Your Own Adventure.
For sure. We found when we were in Kauai, at a bookstore in Kauai, we found a Choose Your Own Adventure book that was set. The book's theme was in Kauai, so we read a Choose Your Own Adventure book about Kauai on the beach in Kauai. It was
pretty funny.
Meta. Yeah, it was very meta.
All right, what else do we have to say besides collecting something really that's not, if you really want to avoid market manipulation or anything like that, then you should just
something that's worthless.
Yeah, like collect something that people don't care about right now, which I understand why you said VHS. That's a good initial impulse, but now it turns out the same people who like to collect video games also and are nostalgic for the 80s are also hoarding VHS tapes.
To be 100% fair, like the crazy nonsense is in the sealed VHS market. Yeah. I can still go to the thrift store. They sell VHS tapes on Thursdays for 12.5 cents each. Yeah, you totally could. Yeah, if you want to do that, like there's a guy who listens to the show, and I'm going to mess up his name. I'm not going to say it because I'm just going to ruin his name. But he was telling me and showing me just like he has 8,000 VHS tapes. Jesus.
Yeah, which I was like, holy God, that's a lot of VHS. But you can just buy those, you can buy boatloads. You can wait till your thrift store's 50% off day and just, make a sling if that's what you enjoy. So, but it comes down to, again, just buy stuff you like. Like if it's making you happy, then you should move that. If games aren't making you happy right now, just stop buying for a while, and see what happens. You can just stop. It's fine. It's okay. Take a break. I take breaks all the time.
Or become an adult and start buying stamps and coins, Johnny.
No, God.
I don't care about stamps and coins, but like looking at
I'm
video game stamps,
and
I'm like, there's some stamps that are pretty cool. And unless it's like an investable stamp, it literally costs like face value. Stamps are worthless. It's awesome. Great.
Here's I'm going to do my impression of Tyler real quick. Collect stamps. They're very interesting, young man. You might find also the fine art of numismatism to be up your alley, young sir. That's my Tyler.
I mean,
As he speaks behind his wooden teeth.
the alternative, Johnny, is to embrace the market manipulation. And if you study and grind sealed VHS, the money will come.
That's true. You know, I think the main takeaway from this segment should be the studying and the grinding.
Yes.
Study and grind all the time.
To explain, because no one knows what the fuck we're talking about. In the high-end VHS Facebook group, a real Facebook group that totally exists and was probably made like a month ago. Oh, it was actually made June 7th. So you know how long VHS has been a thing. The admin of the group posted a thing saying, wow, look at these crazy ROIs of this guy's making flipping raw VHS. If you grind and study sealed VHS, the money will come, which is just the most optimistic, we will never lose money thing that I've ever seen, and I love it. It's the new rejoice in the value. It's the new rejoice in the value.
Yeah. Yes. So
study and grind, guys.
Any other things you want to throw at them, like swole is the goal, size is the prize, anything like that? Any other phrases you can chant at people?
I don't know, Johnny. No.
Okay. All right. Cool. So yeah, I think that answers the questions. But yeah, please collect what you like. Guys, let's do it. Let's go to the last part of the show. What are we buying? What are we playing? Stefan, you haven't been around in a while. Embarrass us with the things you're buying.
I actually only bought one thing. I bought one thing.
Okay. Hold on. I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Did it cost over $1,000?
Yes.
Is it like an item that there are less than 15 of?
Yes.
Okay, that's my point right there. Go on.
So a gameplay counselor guidebook did pop up on eBay recently.
Oh,
and
it's just a gameplay? You just bought a gameplay counselor guidebook? No big deal.
So,
Tyler, don't worry about it. It's hardly anything. You're definitely going to win collecting this.
So, it has a bunch of games in it that I didn't have, which really excited me, such as Super Mario Brothers 2, which was a big one in there. And,
never heard of it.
Yeah, and some of the earlier Mega Man titles are also in there too. So I'm excited to get that. I think that was really all I bought since the last time we spoke. I've been playing things that are for research for work, and that's really all I can say now because that's my life. I can't.
Okay, well,
great.
Don't tell us. Tell us about things you're.
I can't
playing
talk about
for
modern
fun.
titles that I'm playing. That's something I can't do.
Okay.
So.
Well, you played some WoW, right?
I did play some WoW. I'm
There you
always
go.
playing WoW. That's fine. Played some WoW last night.
All right. You were on the Discord. If you join our Patreon, you can find Stefan playing WoW, and he will stream it to you.
I will. Not as often as I would like now with the new job, but I'm still there, still doing stuff.
Okay, Tyler, what did you buy? What'd you play?
I played almost nothing. Pretty boring. I think I played Stardew Valley with Ada. Did not continue Shantae yet. What have I been buying, Johnny? Nothing huge. I got a complete in box copy of Super Monkey Ball, which I know you're excited for. I was talking about that with someone, and I realized I didn't own a complete in box copy of it, so I spent the $40 to get one. I bought this has been on my watch list for a while, and I do this thing with my watch list where I basically just say, if it gets that thing where it says sold, am I gonna feel like this sinking feeling like, I should have bought that? And I figured, like, yes, this has been on my watch list for like a month now, and if someone bought it, I'll probably be sad. And I think eBay gave me like one of those, like, oh, the seller offered you 10% off on this, you should buy it. It's a sealed copy of Call of Duty that was signed by the Infinity Ward staff, and it was poorly listed, but it was like $100. So it wasn't cheap, but they just said like autographed copy of Call of Duty, and the seller didn't know whose signatures they were. But I looked up the signatures, and it's everyone at Infinity Ward. And I could only match up some of them because signatures are impossible to decipher. But like I found like the lead animator, and then I found like also like lady who works at the front desk. So I don't know if it has all the good signatures yet. But once I have it in my hand, I'll try to identify them. But like, I don't know, like I would be, I know that like modern games like that, they have these editions like Uncharted. You'll see copies of Uncharted where like 50 people have signed them. And I found enough signatures from people that like actually worked on the game and weren't just like people who were sitting in desks to be like, all right, I'm just going to buy this. So that was something. And then from Japan, in my monthly box from Japan, I got the Seiken Densetsu 3 trial version, the trial cartridge. So I got the Chrono Trigger cart a month or two back, and now I got Seiken Densetsu 3.
Nice.
Which used to be a game people cared about back when people cared about playing video games. Seiken Densetsu.
It's a mana game.
Yeah, so Seiken Densetsu 2 is Secret of Mana. Seiken Densetsu 3 is the sequel to Secret of Mana that people used to love translating and playing.
You know, it starts off as such a different game. You're like, what is happening here? Like, it takes a minute to get used to, but it's worth playing. And now there's like new versions of it that you can go play. So like Legend of Mana. You can go play
the Switch remake collection.
Yeah, Switch. I mean, it's on everything. I think you can just pretty much, if you want to play it, you can go find it.
Fun fact, if I haven't brought it up on the show, there's a Japanese computer game called Seiken Densetsu from the early 80s that has nothing to do with Seiken Densetsu. So don't buy that and think you found the secret first Seiken Densetsu game.
You didn't find the secret of Mana?
I did not find the secret of Mana. What does Seiken Densetsu mean? It's like Legend of the Sword or like Legend of the Holy Sword. It's like the problem is that it's such a generic name that like something just already had that name when they made it.
Every RPG on the planet could have been named that.
Literally anything. Legend of Zelda could just be called Legend of the Holy Sword.
Yeah. The Excalibur myth is prevalent in lots of fantasy. Weird. Yeah. Okay. Anything else you want to mention there, Tyler?
You got any gameplay counselor binders or anything?
Oh, no. I got some really exciting stuff, though. Are you ready for all this hot stuff I bought?
Is it going to be better than the B game last week?
I mean, the B game is a hot title to get. Like, I don't know why you're upset.
I'm sorry.
It's a sealed...
Literally more expensive than everything I said.
Yeah. I'm like, it's like a sealed copy, too. So, I don't know. Back the fuck up, Tyler. Like, I don't know. Some B game is where it's at. I don't know. B game's terrible. I bought Masters of the Universe, He-Man, the Defender of Grayskull for the PlayStation
VHS?
2.
Oh.
No,
Right.
PAL exclusive, because by the time you're listening to this, the new He-Man cartoon has come out, and I like He-Man quite a bit, and this is a game I've been meaning to just buy, and I was like, I'm just going to go buy this now, so in case, people get a bug in their ass, and I just don't want to fight people, just like, and I realize I bought it from somebody called The Game Shark, but it is not Red the Game Shark.
How dare he?
I know. So, that was upsetting. So, yeah, I got that. That's pretty exciting, right? Should I mention something else? Oh, hey, I bought an amiibo. That'll get the kids going, right?
Whoa. The Zelda and Loftwing?
Yeah, whatever his name is. Yes. I got that, and I got Skyward Sword because, it's a Zelda game, and I'm not going to buy it, so I just figured might as well just buy it now. Oh, and I got the Joy-Con, so I ordered them, and they did actually come. I was worried they wouldn't, so
you got the entire Hype Beast Skyward Sword bundle. Everything.
Yeah, I got, it's a ready-made post. I'm going to grab my gold nunchuck and my gold Wiimote, and then the original Skyward Sword box. I'm going to put them all in my big Instagram. No, I'm not going to do that. I think I've posted like 3 times on Instagram in the last 2 months. I need to start doing it again, but I just haven't had time. And yeah, if I post that, which I would like to, but I will just look like every post you've ever seen on Instagram. I'm like, look at my amiibo and my Joy-Cons and Skyward Sword, because of course I did. No one gives a shit.
Yeah,
that's why I would rather take a picture of the B game, because at least most of you haven't seen the B game, right? Like, but you've seen 100 pictures of The Legend of Zelda. The Legend of Zelda will do a lot better on likes than the fucking B game will. Doesn't matter if people have seen it 1,000 times. They're going to be like, yeah, show us the good stuff. So I'm wrong every time I don't just post Zelda.
That's right. Every post you're not posting Super Mario Brothers 3, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. I wonder what the curve on likes would be if you just kept posting Mario 3 like every day.
We should make an account that only does that, Johnny.
The Super Mario 3 account.
Oh my God, that would be so funny. That's a good idea. Do it.
Yeah, like, okay, so let's do it. And then like the first 9 pictures or whatever will be just like sections of the box until it's the full box. So it always like when they look at the account profile, they see a giant picture of the box. I'm in for that. So, yeah, let's do that. I definitely have time for bullshit games like that.
Johnny, I also bought Skyward Sword. I forgot about that.
No, you did too.
Like I just buy
you're a
all the
hype
Mario
beast.
and Zelda games when they come
Yeah,
out.
Because why
even
not?
though I hate the game, like what am I gonna do? I'm gonna wait 2-3 years and I can get it for maybe $5 less. Like Nintendo games don't go on sale until
And
they get like a
also
bullshit print.
And now in the world where people care about prints, you might as well buy it now. You're buying the earlier print.
Yeah, like what if there's a secret misprint variant? Although, like, guy, after 2019, like everyone's buying all these games to keep sealed. It's not going to be even the Zelda Wii U, the Breath of the Wild Wii U is not rare. But man, anything after the $100,000 Mario, people are just hoarding sealed right when it comes out.
Yep. It's going to stay sealed right next to that Mario triple pack, the new All Stars, and I'm going to make $1 billion one day. Definitely, these are my investment pieces.
Dude, someone sell Mario the Mario All Stars thing for $2,000 and then come back to Collector's Quest and shove it in our faces.
Yeah,
I'd love for it to happen for you. Get that VGA 100.
Anyways, did I play anything? Oh, I played Final Fantasy VI because I was testing Steam Link before the Pixel remasters come out. Play a little more of that. I was going to go play more Mass Effect, but I'm now negative 1 game in my collection because my son destroyed Mass Effect.
What?
He found the button to eject the game. So he was like forcibly pushing it in and out. And then there's like a ridge on the shelf that it was like sliding over to, because you kind of have to lift the console a little bit to eject the game. And he was just like, he had it for maybe 3 minutes doing that. But by the time I got to it, it was just like, it looks like it was only 3 minutes, but it looks like somebody put it in a blender. And with the irony of all this too is that he really likes to watch me play Mass Effect and he brings it to me to play. But now I can't do that. So now I'm like, I don't want to go buy another Mass Effect. It's still like a $50 game. God damn it. And the worst part about it is the whole stupid game download and it's just to read the stupid license off the thing, which is
Johnny
extra
should have bought
aggravating.
that digital copy, huh?
Fuck yeah, I should have. You know, I bought digital copies of a lot of games too that I intend to play. I should have. I definitely should have bought a digital copy of that.
Is it like polishable? You think you could like?
No. I'll send you guys pics. It literally, you like look at it and be like, how did this even happen? The top of it's scratched too. Like everything. I'm just like, it looks like a game that had been sitting out in the mud for 6 months. I don't even know how it happened. 3 minutes. 3 minutes and this happened. Yeah. That's what having kids is, people. 3 minutes. And if you're not on top of it, boom. So yeah, I'm glad my son is now, added his game he's destroyed. So now we've got, I got some new stuff in. Hey, thanks Peaceful on the Discord for sending me all of the Korean Harry Potter games. Not all of them, but almost all of them. So yeah, he's been over the last couple of months, like plucking away, finding the Korean Harry Potter games. If you don't know, collecting Korean games is a pain in the ass and you need to have someone who can help you. And he did that for me. So, as my quest to pick up Harry Potter games from all over the world, he got me the Korean ones. So now I got a whole slew of Korean games I'll probably talk about more. I'll probably take pictures of them because it's like Harry Potter week all next week. So, yeah. Did it.
Yeah, shout out to Peaceful Games. I also went to him looking for a Korean release of a Samsung SPC 1500 game, and he told me it didn't exist. So I don't know. I've lost all my hope of finding the SPC 1500 release of Super Mario Bros. Special.
Oh,
You'll
because
never
if
be
someone
done.
in Korea says, like, it's just not on the internet, it doesn't exist. Like, not that you can't find it, like, the information about this release doesn't exist. I tend to think it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Cool.
Do we have anything else to say? Is that the show? Did we do it?
Oh, did we do it? Was that a short show? What is it?
We did
We're
it.
just
Under 2 hours.
Look at that.
Yeah, we did it. Guys, we did it. Woo! All right. Guys, where can we find you? Stefan, tell us.
On Instagram, Art of Nintendo Power with underscores. On YouTube, straight up Art of Nintendo Power. For Twitter, that is at ArtOfNP. You can also just Google Art of Nintendo Power and you'll find me. I also recently changed my name on Video Game Sage, the last bastion of Archon 1981. I changed that to Art of Nintendo Power. So now I don't think there's anywhere else.
Branding is complete.
That's right. I don't think there's anywhere that you can find me as Archon 1981 anymore, except for the neon sign that is still in my game room.
Yeah, and Archon Turtle, where can we find Archon Turtle?
Maybe on the Technodrome.com, now that I'm thinking about it.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I might have just changed that to Archon. But yeah,
right.
So all those places. Oh, also, end of September, just you can Google Megabit Convention. And in Simi Valley, California, in September, I will be doing my first live showing of the art collection since ever, really, because the last time I did a showing, it was the Gameplay Counselor collection at Portland 19. So this is going to be my first showing of the Nintendo Power Art Collection at a live show where you can get up close and personal and talk to me about it and stuff. So if that interests you, again, the Megabit Convention in Simi Valley, California, and that's in September.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, Tyler, what about you?
I'm Default Gen, Default GEN. I'm on Instagram, Video Game Sage, and YouTube. Send me a message on Instagram.
Yeah, and the Patreon. Tyler's on the Patreon. Stefan is occasionally on the Patreon. You can find me on the Patreon, but there's a new place you can find Tyler and also myself. It's on our new podcast, the VHS Investors Podcast. We welcome all VIPs. Stay tuned for more info on that. And that's all I got. Look for us on the Patreon, like I was saying. That's www.patreon.com/collectorsquest, where you can join for as little as $2 or as much as $6, but don't spend more than that. Also, I always forget to say it, but thank you to everyone who does support us. We really do appreciate it. Thanks so much. It means a lot to us. And we'll see you next time. Bye!
That is our show. I don't think we talked about that much factual related to games, so no errata for this week. Whoa, wait. There was a point where Johnny said numismatists, which are coin collectors, when he meant philatelists, which are stamp collectors. There's your errata for the week. I caught it. Thank you to 8-Bit for the new intro music for the show, APE-Bit, like the monkey.bandcamp.com. He makes 8 and 16-bit chiptune music, and you can listen to at least a lot of it for free on Bandcamp, so go check him out. And thank you to all of our patrons. Guys, we have 64 patrons. If you're not in the Discord, join our Discord. If you don't know how, message me or Johnny. We'll invite you to the Discord. I'm in there talking with you guys all day about what you're picking up and all that kind of stuff. Thank you, Richard, patron number 1, Bowden, Canadian variant alert, Chris Glidden, Nintendo World Champion, Daniel Jacksvick, high-end collector, Andrew Brim, 50 Hertz is good enough for me, Andre, Brian Gupta, and Pocky and Rocky with Becky, mint condition, Brian J. Mora, sophisticated investor, Cartmageddon, Fat Cat collector, Chris Jackson, Chris, SNK, Too Many NES Accessories, Morozek, Johnny's GBA Hookup, Coffee with Mr. Saturn, Playing with Power, Connor Strange, The Last Game You Need for the Set, Corey O'Brien, Unpunched Hang Tab, Dustin Beagle, Eric Addison, I keep doing these and I don't give you guys nicknames. Eric Addison, you're not in the Discord, so I don't know anything about you. Gotta Google you. Hopefully you have an Instagram. Also, yeah, every single person who I'm giving a nickname, I try to look you up and give you an appropriate nickname, so if you have a generic nickname, it's because I couldn't figure out anything about you. Ha! Found you! Oh, I've got a Judge Dredd pinball machine. Eric Addison, you're the fucking man. It sounds like you had this in your mid-20s, you might not have this machine anymore, but this is how it goes. I find, one thing I like on your Instagram, and that becomes your nickname. So I'm gonna give you a nickname based on a Judge Dredd pinball machine call-out. You might not even like Judge Dredd that much. I don't care. Awesome game. We don't talk about who designed it, though. He might be in jail now. He has returned to judge this city. Eric Addison, man of Nintendo in the world of Nintendo, Funky Brewster, the actual Shinobi, Jasonic the Kid. Also, yeah, the actual Shinobi, Jasonic the Kid. Guess which patron has a Shinobi arcade machine? Yeah, I find one picture and that's your nickname, guys. Jeff the Game Boy Farris, Lance, Lord Hardstyle Z, The Degenerate, Matt Ball, FuncoLand employee, platform agnostic, Red the Game Shark. The Famicom Box, retro game enthusiast, Sean, the Gamer Collective. Previously unknown variant, Tim Walker, can't put limits on collecting, VG Collectaholic, The Millennium, Will Joe, Keeper of the Zelda variant, 0x Def Code, getting the full PS2 set because Stefan won't. All caps. The official seal of quality, Andy Jill Selector, what a 9.8 A++ Benji, the actually rare Bird Dog Gaming, Brandon Rogers, whose favorite episode is the wrestling episode, the strictly limited super rare Bruno, still finding deals in 2021 somehow, Colton Murphy, David Green, he's got that on vinyl, Derek Lauer, who made me edit this show, Don Libby, the hero of time, Jeremy Jarvis, here for the Pog Talk, Jim Jacobs, world record holder of Best Collection, Red Pyramid Thing, Jonathan Shados, video game art collector because video games are art, Justin Chichio, Lateral Movement, who's got a Donkey Kong kill screen coming up, Michael, posted in the Discord right now, Chiaramonte, Nick the Video Game Database Morgan, Homebrew Mastermind, Divertov, the other guy who collects Korean releases, Peaceful Games, Dungeon Master Reed Stubenik. That's right, Reed. You posted 3 things in the Discord, and one of them was that you were playing D&D, so I just take it, and that becomes your nickname. Welcome to the Collector's Quest Patreon. The Promoter, Retro RPG Podcast. Tex, who collects for Jaguar. Tom, Obscure Variant Chaser Chase. Zaventorian, he knows all 97 Nintendo games. Andrew, actually collecting N-Gage O. B-Nugs! B-Nugs! Colby, he is Sinistar. Corhagen does what Nintendo don't. Daniel McArdle, who thought this was the Retronauts Patreon. The Xbox Authority, Danny Gomez. The Philatelist, not the Numismatist. Dork Overlord. My childhood PlayStation idol, Game-Rave.com. John actually plays his games, Champity. Joseph Rogers got 50,000 on Double Dragon. Sam, Sega Mark III Marks. And Sean, the Video Game Illuminati LaCroix. Thank you guys so much. Did I have anything else? No.